Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. So glad you joined us today to stay curious. Today we have Titusville Mayor Andrew Connors in the house. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm great, Andrew. Uh, been mayor since the beginning of the year here, 6 months wet in your politics here. And he's going to share a little bit about sort of the state of the city of Titusville. Many of you have visited us and been here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Spaceview Park, that we chose actually a county worker cleaning up Spaceview Park there at the Mercury Gallery with the beautiful Max Brewer Bridge that goes over to the Merritt Island Wildlife Preserve. We certainly live in a beautiful place, don't we, Mayor?
Absolutely. No better place to live.
No better place to live. There you go. So we have a hard out, we being Marty Winkle and myself. Marty's on our board of directors, and being the director of the museum, they want to me in there to whatever they want to do with me, whatever. So we'll be out at 25 minutes after, but case in point, this is Marty. This is our 1,291st episode in 5 years, born out of the pandemic, to make sure when we close that people knew our humble nonprofit was not going to lay down. So Andrew, welcome to our set here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up, and how'd you have the aspirations to be a mayor?
Well, first of all, I did not want to be mayor when I grew up.
Okay.
But like most people, kind of humble beginnings. Grew up in a rural country area in Ohio. Born and raised.
What town?
It's a small town called Clyde, Ohio, with about 5,000 people.
I think I know Clyde. I grew up in Findlay, Ohio.
Yep.
And talk about it.
That was actually the last city I lived in before I moved to Florida.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I grew up in Northwest Ohio, went to college in Northwest Ohio, went to Bowling Green State University, graduated with a degree in gerontology, but I specialized in long-term care administration. So at 22, I became the executive director of a $40-50 million healthcare facility. So did that for a while, and then I decided that I wanted to start my own business. So I started a business doing benefits consulting, did that very well for a few years, and then I decided I'm tired of being cold. And my wife was a nurse, and I was in the insurance game, so we were sitting on the beach in Florida one day, and I go, why don't we live here? And so we ended up moving to Florida. We didn't have any kids, and didn't really know anybody, and we built a life here in Brevard County. So I'm very excited about that. And so my wife is a nurse at Parish, and well, she was working at Rockledge until the recent closure, unfortunately. But now she's at Parish, and I'm the mayor of Titusville, and our kids are 7 and 2.
Yeah, I met your two boys.
Yeah.
And in fact, we talk, we being Gabriel Rothblatt and I, our executive director of our nonprofit foundation, quickly linked up with you. You actually showed up at my invite at Shuttle Fest, our 4th Shuttle Fest. And your son got to meet a couple real astronauts there. How was that experience for you all?
I don't think it really dawned on him that those were actual astronauts, because they're not wearing the big spacesuit.
Yeah.
Because he's a first grader. But it was amazing because we were in the process of doing a Mars project. So he was doing a project all on the planet Mars, and it was great that he had that experience, because we took some of the magazines and cut out pictures and put it to the poster board, and it had a really good, fun space experience. And still to this day, he still gets all excited about rocket launches. So I'm glad he hasn't grown numb to it like I think a lot of us have here, you being the exception.
Yeah, well, I wandered out the last night, and boy, I was glad I did, Marty. The Rumble in Port St. John lasted 5 minutes.
Wow.
The first stage and second stage at 2 minutes, it was rumbling really loud, and I timed it, and I could still hear noises. Sometimes you get those like that, just right. And so let's cut to the chase. So we talked about rockets. I moved here 8 years ago, Mayor Connors. Titusville certainly has changed in the 8 years I've been here. I liked it to begin with, but there's a vibrant energy going on. You're now involved with a new revitalization of our beloved Spaceview Park. Tell us how much these, particularly SpaceX, mean to our Brevard County and our area.
Yeah, I think it's really important to look at the history of Titusville. When I moved here, I wasn't, again, looking to get into politics or change things. But as I got involved, because my kids, I'm raising my kids here. I want them to see that it's important to be involved in your community. You don't just get on Facebook and make comments. You roll up your sleeves and you do the work. So once my kids were born, I got involved with Commission on Parks and Recreation, the YMCA, anything involving youth development. And then, that kind of grew into getting involved with the chamber. And then all of a sudden I saw, like, politically, like, we were at a crossroads. We can either continue to grow, or we can move backwards. And I want us to move forward. I want jobs and opportunities for not only my kids, but other kids here in Titusville. And I'm just really excited about that, because there's a lot of amazing things happening with the Fleet Ballistic Missile Program that Lockheed's planning. They're building a 620,000 square foot advanced manufacturing facility right here in Titusville.
So, wow.
And that's just the first stage.
Good.
There's a second stage planned, and there's a third stage planned. So it's going to look like almost like a Harris level campus right here.
Where's that going to be located in town?
Right off Grissom.
Oh, on Grissom. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Is the volume okay, folks, on our show here? Marty's got a sign up there. I'm not looking at my, I didn't even bring my smart tablet over here. But let Marty know that you can hear us well. We're talking with Titusville Mayor Andrew Connors.
I've been known not to talk loud enough, so I guess I can talk a little louder.
Oh, okay.
But, I'm just a very...
I've never been accused of
yeah.
that, but...
I'm just a very light talker, because I think it's important to... I can say what I need to say without having to yell, but I understand microphones are a challenge for me.
Yeah.
So I can lean in a little bit better for the microphone. That makes it better.
Well, we've got Dave Stange up in Michigan. We got a lot of Michiganders watch us. They, of course, drove down through my hometown on I-75 many times. And Bowling Green State University, I got some credits there at that institution there. Perrysburg, all those places up there. And we got a worldwide audience, Andrew. We got Robert Laws up in Dundee, Scotland. Hey, tip of the evening to you, Robert, up there. We'll have Cliff Watson joining us from Pomona, Australia. They've all been in this room in our museum here, and we're very blessed with that. So if you got a question about Titusville, those of you been here, and got a question to the mayor, quickly answer it. Like I said, we're going to be winding down at 20 after here for a board meeting.
Or for that matter, a question about anything. I mean, I'll be happy to give you my opinion, but I don't know if it will translate into anything. If you're asking me, if it's Gators or Knowles, like, I'll give you my opinion, but
What was it like running for mayor? I'm not too much of a political animal anymore, but you were on the, which side of the fence did you run as a politician?
So at the city races, they're actually nonpartisan. So when you go into the voting booth, there's no party designation, but my political party is Republican. So we couldn't say that during the campaign. And now that the campaign's over, I have no problem telling you. But I think at the end of the day, people want some changes. People get frustrated with local government, and they don't understand how anything works because it's not as transparent. It feels like it's not transparent. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to over communicate to people what is going on. And letting them know how our government is structured and how it works. Our city charter was written in 1964 when our city had 10,000 people. Our city does not have 10,000 people anymore.
How many?
51,000.
51,000, Marty.
Yeah.
Marty's lived here most of his life.
And so when you look at that, and the fact that in our geographical boundaries, we actually serve almost 60,000 between police and water, our city has evolved. So when you look at some of the challenges at a local government level, what needs to be changed, I go to root causes. So if you're, trying to launch a rocket, right, and something doesn't work, you try to trace it back to its origin. And so that's what I keep coming back to is our city charter that was written back in the 60s and hasn't really evolved with the times for today. So that's something I've been advocating for and working on since I've been on council is just, let's take a look at this. How do our citizens...
You were a councilman before?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this is my first time ever in politics, first time I ran for a race.
Wow.
I ran for mayor, and I won. And I think that's what the people wanted. They wanted somebody that was not in the weeds, and somebody can come in with fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and has a business mindset. And that's why it's so important that we move forward and not backwards, because if you look at the history of Titusville, space goes up, space comes down. How many times have we had a big crash in space?
Well, end of Apollo, the end of Shuttle 14 years ago, and boy, I heard some horror stories about how bad it was 14 years ago.
I mean, think about this. 14 years ago, the city of Titusville had a $140,000 budget just to mow the front lawns of abandoned houses,
Whoa.
just to keep up appearances. That's how far we have come. And I don't want us to go back. I want us to move forward. We need to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to economic development, be smart in providing incentives and making it easier for businesses to get open and faster. Because even if you're a small business, your time is your money. And the longer it takes you to get open, the longer it takes you to be profitable and the less likelihood that you're going to be succeeding. And even if you look at the city as a business, the longer it takes for a business to get open, the longer it takes for the city to get its new tax revenue. And now we can't use that on, important things like police, fire, water, roads. Because at the end of the day, that's what our city provides. Those four things. Yes, we do trash service too, but anybody can do trash service. So really, we need to focus on what's important and be really good at that and be efficient. Because even NASA, they can't build everything, right? They outsource some things, and it's very strategic. And that's how we need to be as we move forward, as being strategic in our thinking and how we look at things so that we're keeping our taxpayers' dollars front and center and being good stewards of that money.
Again, talking with Mayor Andrew Connors, I've met him at 4 or 5 functions already. Gabriel walked around Spaceview Park and this space trail that we created through the zoning commission people. You and I've talked about Spaceview Park, doing some things there. Gabriel and I'd love to see more of a public walkway downtown, like on Julia Street and so forth, like in the Ugali district. Like so many of your communities have a little area where it's pedestrian oriented with a lot of cool shops and so forth like that. Is this where you want to evolve the downtown energy?
Well, I think it's important that we make smart investments in our downtown. I believe it's going to take an anchor to really revitalize that. So that's why I'm very excited about our Titusville Playhouse, which is known far and wide for putting on the best shows that you can see, talent near Broadway. And they're undertaking a $75 million capital expansion plan that I'm very excited about, because if we help them get there, then again, that'll be that anchor for the downtown area to maybe migrate off of US 1, which is a state-controlled road. So we can't do anything about traffic and close down the road very cheaply. So just being able to move and encourage some of those businesses to move west will be great for that walkability, for the user experience, for families to go down there. So that's going to take a community effort to help them get there, but I'm very excited about that possibility.
When people gather out there for a launch at the Indian River, and we're 10 miles away, we're sitting exactly 10 miles away from the launch pads over there. What does that mean for the community when you see a couple hundred people out there on a sunny afternoon watching a rocket of any kind go? They don't care what it is. A lot of people still think we're launching the shuttle, but of course we're not. But what sense does that give you of living here and being mayor?
Yeah, so as a business owner, I put my business owner hat on, right? And I look at it from a city perspective that we're losing revenue. We're not capitalizing on the tourists that are coming here to watch these launches.
No, we're not.
And I think we need to think critically about how we're doing that. If you look at beachside communities and Cocoa Beach especially, they really have capitalized on tourism, because unfortunately sometimes tourists come in, they trash our parks, they drive on our roads, they buy Diet Coke at 7-Eleven on their way out. So we're losing money. That last man launch, I can't even calculate how much extra overtime we had to spend for our police to be out there to direct traffic to get out of town.
Oh.
There was, traffic signals closed everywhere, right? They were hand
Right.
directing
Yes.
traffic
Oh, it was huge.
to get people out there, which is great. We want people to come watch our launches.
It was built as a rescue, which it really wasn't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
People were looking up there. Right, your extra expenditure for city services like police and traffic, but there's no extra coin coming in to balance that ledger.
Exactly.
Because I want to, when I'm finally retire, I want to get me a bicycle cart like the hot dog guy, and with pennants and stuff like that, and roll over there and sell my wares. But well, good. We want to work with you on that. There's ways to do that.
Absolutely.
Tell us some other strong points that you were sharing with me earlier. That you had a laundry list of things you
Yeah.
want to emphasize about Titusville.
Honestly, I could talk for hours about all the amazing things happening in Titusville. Just because when you're mayor and you're in every circle of what's going on, it's easy to see all the positive things happening. And I'm really excited about our nonprofits working together so that we can share resources, share expertise, make sure we're moving the community forward. And that happens in every grouping, right? Whether it's youth development, maybe it's economic development, maybe it's tourism. It's really just about bringing people together. And one of the amazing opportunities that's happening right now is the Shores of Tranquility. That's going to bring 280 high-end housing units to Titusville. We've never really had high-end housing, and that's very exciting because before, I mean, there's 15,000 people that work out at KSC property.
Yes.
A lot of them are driving through our city to go live somewhere else.
Yes.
We need high-end housing so those high-end engineers that are raising families can be here, pay taxes here, invest in our community here. So I'm very excited about that because, this is the first time we've had that opportunity.
Shores of Tranquility is at the base of the 405 bridge that they just finished there.
Absolutely.
That many of you have driven up there. If you hadn't been here in a while, they got a beautiful 2-lane, right, 4 lanes, 2 going each way, 2 bridges they built, and that was fun to watch those grow up, just like these here on the Max Brewer Bridge there. What other? How convince Dave Stange's wife Julie to move down here from Michigan? They got grandkids and.
Well, if she's wanting to stay in Michigan because of proximity to her grandkids, I don't think I'm going to convince her otherwise.
No, you're right
But,
about that.
I would say that, moving to Titusville, we have a lower tax rate than the average in the county. We have amazing police. We have amazing fire services. Our public works department is working day in and day out to make sure our streets are clean, kept up. The heart of Titusville and Brevard County is right here in Titusville. We're the 3rd largest city in Brevard. We're still legally the county seat, so we're the capital of Brevard, and we just have a heart like no other. As I travel around the county, I see amazing work being done and recognition being happening, but the people that get recognized more often than not, countywide, are right here in Titusville because they have a heart. They'll give up their money. They'll give up their volunteer hours. They will spend the time investing in our community. And doesn't matter if it's protecting children with the Children's Advocacy Center or, helping out with the American Space Museum. Because, if you think about this organization as a nonprofit, you have countless dedicated volunteers spending all their time, money, effort. And that's what's happening everywhere in Titusville because we just have the best people.
It got me hooked here to live for the museum and never envisioned moving here from 35 years in Johnson City, Bristol, Tennessee area up there. It's a lot of fun. There's always challenges to any city anywhere, but I don't like the cold as much either. Andrew, I'm going to show a couple pictures here, and we want you to go back and watch our Stay Curious episodes with Nick Thomas and Terry White this week. We've been promoting you all week. There's our website there for this beautiful city there, the Indian River. Space View Park, I wanted to show a few pictures there.
Can you go back to that City of Titusville website? Something that I want to just point out is something called GIS. So one of those icons right there, if you scroll through, there's an option for GIS, which brings you all the overlay maps of, is my property zoned or what's this property zoned for? So if you are looking to move here, you can easily access all the data at the city.
Okay.
Whether there's a sewer line running through your neighborhood. It's really amazing how granular that data gets. So it's really cool.
GIS on the page. Where's the tab for it?
So you see those circle icons?
Yeah.
There's more if you.
Oh, I got you.
if
Go
it
to the right
scrolls,
there. Okay, yeah. Good snappy thing there. Of course, I've talked to you all many times. Spaceview Park being a Taj Mahal, a Roman Colosseum to us, is the only place in the world you can put your hands on the Mercury Gallery on Deke Slayton and see that he's got one finger that got cut off. There's Wally Schirra's handprints. one of the great astronauts that flew in the month of May. Marty and I love that Robert Goddard and education is out there for everybody up there. And we hope to maybe have a farmer's market truck there in this area of Mercury. That's a beautiful walk for people. And again, our Gemini monuments there, beautiful to stroll along there with the icon, like 2 of the Gemini program. There's the VAB off my shoulder there. That's how close you are. The names are workers that worked on for the contractors in NASA. And their handprints on these pylons of astronauts. That's what I say. The only place you can put your hands on Jim McDivitt, another Michigander. And this statue of President Kennedy was seen by his daughter Caroline in a photograph, and she was just enamored by it and wanted to try to buy it, and it already broke the mold on there. But our space workers like Marty are celebrated there in this way. And there's Gus Grissom. He died before they got handprints, so they made a relief of him there. And then the Apollo, the shuttle area is honored there. All these pylons have names of space workers that gave our museum $100. And I say all the time, Andrew, I work for Newsweek magazine in Manhattan. I'd love for them to call me up and say, send us $100 and we'll put your name at 444 Madison Avenue on the wall there. This is what that's like. Space workers, and you've met lots of them, are unique people and done special things. And then this beautiful honoring in the line of duty. Someone's always putting flowers there, or the Columbia Challenger. These are people who died in car accidents and so forth. And then, of course, you just got such a majestic scene there when the sky's right there. So
absolutely. And every year we do our memorial service for those that lost their lives in the service to our country.
Yeah.
Because it's not just going to space or working on this. It's service to our country because they did something that was challenged by the president to do that nobody else had done.
That's absolutely right.
Amazing.
Marty's got a comment.
Yeah, Mark, on that memorials platform, memorial thing.
Yes.
What you call it? It's more than people who died in car accidents out there. There were workers who died out there, performing.
Yes,
tests.
fell off a gantry. There's a lot of
No
freak
boxes.
accidents listed there, as well as Gus, Ed, and Roger are all also listed on there. We've got to wind up here. Yes, sir.
Got a question from Carlton.
Uh-huh.
Carlton's asking, the facility on Grissom going to be towed, doesn't make any sense. The facility on Grissom going to be toward Titusville or closer to Cocoa. I see new things, it seems, every day. Any new road widenings?
Okay, so good question. We're talking about roads, one of my favorite subjects, because I actually represent the city of Titusville and the Space Coast Transportation and Planning Organization. So talk about roads more frequently than most people would think. But that facility off of Grissom is going to be a campus. That road is more of in the FDOT purview. So unfortunately, we get challenges all the time where people say, fix this road, repave this road. So you have roads like State Route 405, 406, which is Garden Street, State Route 50, US 1. Those are all controlled by FDOT. So I'm constantly advocating and lobbying on behalf of our city residents that they invest more money here in Titusville, spend their money here. Unfortunately, with the state budget cuts, there was actually an article in Florida Today that they quoted me on. It was unfortunately on the front page. But we as a Brevard County are going to be experiencing a fiscal crisis when it comes to roads. As we do our long range planning, we're looking at only being able to fund 17% of our road needs throughout the county. So that leaves politicians like myself fighting with each other over whose road gets funded first. So we have a real issue, and that's where we need to get involved and let Tallahassee know that they need to put more money in FDOT's hands, especially in District 5, which is our district, so that we get more priority road funding. Out of all the roads in Titusville, we're averaging about 40% capacity. Unfortunately, there is one road over capacity, and that's a section of 405 between 50 and Fox Lake Boulevard. So that's where we desperately need that widened to 4 lanes. FDOT had told me if they had the $70 million today to widen it to 4 lanes, it would still take 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
So when you're talking about roads and planning and things like that, these are long-term things that take a lot of forethought. And unfortunately, over the last 20, 30 years, cans have just kept getting kicked down the road. Not necessarily from a city perspective, but unfortunately, an FDOT perspective, when you look at, we're in a district that's competing with Orlando. We're in the same district. So you look at the road needs that Orlando has, Volusia County, we're all kind of competing for the same dollars.
Oh, my.
So even if they allocate $300 million to District 5, that doesn't do much for the 4 counties. And road costs have doubled in the last 10 years.
Well, that's glad to hear, because the infrastructure here is getting stressed as all these new, every time you see a new 300 unit condo or something go up, that's 600 more cars coming in down the road.
Yes.
So,
But that is good news. And I'll tell you why it's good news. Because, first in any city's economic development, first comes a big corporation, right? So we got NASA, right?
uh-huh.
But unfortunately, we never really got a chance to develop around it before the crash. And the same thing when it peaked and then crashed again.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're in this residential development phase, which then after that comes the commercial growth. Because retail organizations, the Chick-fil-A's out there, the Bass Pro Shops, they don't come unless they're people, right? So we got to kind of get through this little growing pains that we're experiencing right now and to come out on the other side. So I'm really excited about the things that we're putting in place. I know we didn't get to talk much space, but I just want to let everybody know that I was out there, took an economic delegation out to Kennedy Space Center, sat on the 7th floor talking with them about how we can work together. So our small businesses in Titusville can be a part of what is happening out there. And I'm very excited about that. So if anybody needs any more information on that, please reach out to me. Andrew Connors, Mayor of Titusville on Facebook, Mayor Connors on Instagram, X, and TikTok.
Thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
I've got a coin here I want you to hold. That this coin contains metal that was on the moon, on the Eagle, and
that's
had
so
Columbia in there. And as our special guest and mayor, I want to present you with that coin that Boeing gave to workers in 1969. And you can peel that off and carry that around your pocket with you there, sir.
I'm not pulling it off for this thing. It's going on my wall. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for the information.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for doing what you do. And we'll have you back and talk some. Don't worry about that. We'll have you back on, get you on here to
Yeah.
talk more space here. And
Absolutely.
thank you for supporting our event. This is a gentleman that does get our museum that we have for over 25 years preserved the birth of America's space age right here in this delivery room, Brevard County. And we're happy to have Mayor Andrew Connors on here sharing our enthusiasm for that. So thank you, Marty, for a great job. Thank you all for watching. We've got to jump into a board meeting and see if we still have a job. But until tomorrow, I'm saying thank you for watching. I'm Mark Marquette, and we can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.